When it comes to the spiritual life, sometimes it's hard to see the purpose of the seasons. Some seasons you seem like you are next to the Lord at every moment. Some seasons it feels like no matter what you do, the Lord is present and you are with Him and you are experiencing the depths of walking beside the still waters. And then there are other seasons when it feels like that you're beyond just alone, where it feels like that you are parched, that you are famished, that you are longing for merely a morsel of the Lord. At times, this is a spiritual desert. At times, it feels like it's an emotional one. At times, you even just feel physically exhausted. But here's one of the things that I am learning, not just spiritually, but also what creation itself is teaching me. Every season is essential. Sure, we don't all live in the same climates. Sure, we don't all live within the same ecosystems. And so the definitions of the particular seasons are wide. I live in the Midwest, and we have all 4 seasons. It is sweltering hot in the summer. We have the beauty of the leaves starting to fall in the autumn. And then we get winters that are deep and cold and snow on the ground. And then we get our springtime, where allergies come and they explode just as much as the blossoms of the trees and the flowers. And what I've come to realize is that every single season matters. It's essential, both in creation and in our spiritual life. Because what you get from passing through each season is the emergence of a new creation. This morning I'm meditating on Hosea chapter 2. Whew. And anytime you get into and meditate with the prophets, things get a little wild. The prophets do not hold back. The prophets, frankly, there's too much at stake. There's too much for them to that could go wrong if they don't speak bluntly to the nation of Israel. And in the Hosea, it is absolutely no different. Hosea chapter 2, verse 2 is where I'm starting, and God's not playing around. He says, "Rebuke your mother, rebuke her, for she is not my wife, and I am not her husband." He's talking about his relationship with the nation of Israel. "Let her remove the adulterous look from her face and the unfaithfulness between her breasts. Otherwise I will strip her naked and make her as bare as on the day she was born. I will make her like a desert, turn her into a parched land, and slay her with thirst." Whoa. The imagery is vivid. The imagery is brutal. The Lord has had enough of the unfaithfulness of Israel. And it continues for a minute. Go down to verse 5. "Their mother has been unfaithful and has conceived the children in disguise. She said, I will go after my lovers, and who give me drink or food and my water, my wool and my linen, my olive oil and my drink." Verse 6, "Therefore I will block her path with thorn bushes. I will wall her in so that she cannot find her way. She will chase after her lovers, but not catch them. She will look for them, but not find them." This is an intense moment where God is confronting the rebellion of Israel, and He has had enough. Then, as the text continues, God starts to shift from metaphor to something more. Well, it's still metaphor, but it also points to something more about the land He has given the nation of Israel. He says in verse 11, "I will stop all of her celebrations, her yearly festivals, her new moons, her Sabbath days, all her appointed festivals, all of their aspects or their conduits of worship of the Lord. I will ruin her vines and her fig trees, which she said were her pay from her lovers. I will make them a thicket, and wild animals will devour them. I will punish her for the days she burned incense to the Baals. She decked herself with rings and jewelry, and went after her lovers, and me she forgot, said the Lord. There was plushness, a summer and a spring full of bounty. But all of a sudden, Hosea is signaling that fall is coming and winter will be devastating. The barrenness of the land. But then notice this in verse 14. The tone shifts and it starts to reveal the purpose of each season. It says, therefore, I'm now going to allure her. I'm now going to woo her. Where? He says, I will lead her into the desert, into the wilderness, and speak tenderly to her. There I will give her back her vineyards, and I will make the valley of Achor a door of hope. There she will respond as in the days of her youth, as in the days she came up out of Egypt, when our love was new, when our nuptials had just been completed. And then he says this, in that day, verse 16, declares the Lord, you will call me husband, and you will no longer call me master. Our relationship will have fully shifted into something that's actually far deeper. For it's one thing to call God master. It is far different to call him husband. It is far different to say that is my spouse. You see, the nation of Israel has spoiled the riches of their previous spring. And what Hosea is saying is that now you are moving not just into fall, you are moving into the barrenness of winter, but it is in that barren space, it is in that desert that the Lord will speak tenderly to you. That you will be reminded of the gifts and the grace that you first had whenever you fell in love with the Lord to begin with. And then he will say something magnificently intimate. Stop calling me master. Call me your spouse. Here's my challenge for you this week. Pray to the Spirit and be honest about what season are you in. It might be important to ask how you got there. But what you need to hear most is the tender words of the Father that's saying, every season is essential. And whenever you press fully into the season that you are in, whether it is in the bounty of spring, in the beautifulness of summer, or in the barrenness of winter, every season is essential. Every season belongs. For the Lord never stops working, regardless of the seasons that change. And in that tender, sacred space, ask the Lord, what is the next step to press deeper into your season so that everything that your heart desires will once again be restored. I love you guys. Have a good week.